When we stop, we will hear. And we talked about the importance of stopping, of finding margin again, of making sure that we're not that piece of paper that's going from the top to the bottom and side to side with no area around the outside, because it's too difficult to read and it's too difficult to live that way. And as our margin decreases, our stress increases. And we can't be the friend that we need to be to others. And we can't be the parent that we need to be. And we can't be the spouse that we need to be when we are stressed out. And so we said we need margin and we need to slow down. And I gave you 4 practical things that you can do to help find margin. You need to create a Sabbath. The world is trying to take that away from you, and you need to say no. We can't go somewhere every single night of the week. We can't work all day, go somewhere every night, and exist as a family. You're going to wake up and not know each other. And so I said, create a Sabbath. I said, you need to ask yourself, is this a wise choice before you do anything? Is this a wise choice? Is this a wise way to spend my money? Is this a wise thing for me to eat? Is this a wise place for me to go? Is this a wise job for me to take? Every decision, is this a wise choice? And pray about it and slow down and stop and think and let God talk to you. I said you need to give something up. We need to realize that the world will keep going even if we say no. It will be okay. So you need to give something up. And you sat in these small groups and you talked about this. And tonight you're going to have another time to sit together. And I want you to use that time to pray for one another and be specific. And it doesn't say this on your sheet. Be specific. Say, I want to give up. Or I'm going to start having a Sabbath on. Or my family's not going to keep. Tell each other this stuff so that you can keep each other accountable when you leave here. And so I think we need margin. We need to retreat. We need to slow down, because when we stop, we will hear. And then in session 2, we realized that when we hear, we will see. And when we refocus, we looked at Romans 12:2, and it says, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to know what God's will is, His pleasing and perfect will. They go hand in hand. You slow down, you stop, you give God the time and the respect and the fear and the admiration that He deserves. And He blesses you by revealing Himself to you. And suddenly you see what you need to be doing with your life. You see what you need to be doing with your family. You see where you need to be going and how you need to get there. And you just say yes. When He invites you into His plan and He invites you to be a part of this big picture that's going on, you just say yes. And He will take care of the rest. And then when we see, we will change. We talked about relearning. See, it's not enough to just stop and start listening to God, hear His call, say yes, and do nothing. We have to keep this going. We stop and we hear His call and we say yes, and then it proceeds to action. And we have to relearn what that action is, because for many of us, we've grown up for years believing that the way to be a good Christian is to be at church every time the doors are open and be in choir and lead the children's program and make sure that you're in the Bible study and make sure you come on the women's retreat and church and church and church and church. That's good. You need each other. You need to spur each other on. But that's not all. That's not the whole picture. We're supposed to take the church out. I think the church in America would grow immensely if we became known as the givers. The church just wants to give you love. I don't know why. The church just wants to give you food. I don't know why. The church just wants to give you clothes. I don't know why. But that's not how we're known. And so we've got to relearn what the church is supposed to look like. We've got to relearn what a follower of Christ looks like. And we talked about the fact that as we learn these lessons, we're going to learn that it's about love. It's about God's love. It's about loving God and loving His people. And that's not always pretty. But it's what we're called to do. We're not called to just sit in our comfortable buildings on Sunday morning. We are called to love people, really love people, even when it's messy and it's not fun and it's hard. And see, I think when we stop, we hear. And when we hear, we see. And when we see, we change. And when we change, we will reunite. I'm going to let you all in on a little way of how my mind works. This is kind of scary. I'm kind of like those circle books that children have. Like if you give a moose a muffin, and then he wants some jam, and then he wants a sweater, and then a bath, and then, oh, look, he wants another muffin. That's kind of how my mind works. This is what happened. I read a verse, and this is what I read. John 17, verse 23. John 17, 23. Now, if you're writing this down in your journals, John 17, beginning at verse 6, all the way to 26 is a prayer that Jesus is praying before he dies on the cross. He is praying. First he prays for his disciples. Then it says Jesus prays for all believers. This is a prayer that Jesus is praying. And right here near the end, John 17, 23, Jesus says, "May they be brought to complete unity to let the world know that you sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me." This says Jesus prays for all believers. This prayer was for those people 2,000 years ago. This prayer is for us. 2,000 years ago, Jesus prayed, "May they be brought to complete unity to let the world know that you sent me. Let the world know of your love." That's our purpose. We should be united. Every follower of Christ should be united with this one mission. They will see our unity. They will see our love. They will see our compassion. And they will know our God. It's not exactly what it looks like. And so I read this verse and I was so convicted. Unity. We need to be united. And I thought, there's something in here God wants me to talk about. There's something in here. And I start mulling it over. And so I'm driving down the road going, John 17, 23. May we be united. And then I'm in the shower. May we be united. And I'm just mulling it over. And then I started doing this. Every time I'd say united, I go, reunited. And wait, that can't be what he wants from me. Okay, focus. And so then I'd be thinking, unity. Reunited. And stop, that can't be what it is. And I'm like, you know what? Reunited. That song is like about a man and a woman. Oh, love, man and woman. That reminds me of a skit that I saw once that I loved about a man and a woman. Here it goes. When I am in this seat, my name is Elaine. I'm riding in the car. When I am in this seat with the hat, which I won't put on all, there we go. I am Roger. I'm driving the car. Okay. And when I'm standing up, I am the narrator. Elaine and Roger are on a date. They've been dating for about 6 months, and that hits Elaine as they're driving down the road, and she says, "Oh, Roger, I just realized we've been going out for 6 months today. Today it's been 6 months." Suddenly a silence fills the car. To Elaine, it is a very loud silence. She thinks, why doesn't he say anything? Maybe I've scared him. Oh, I bet I scared him. He feels pressured. He feels pressured. He thinks I want to marry him. I want to have kids with him. I want to have grandkids with him. I just said 6 months. I didn't mean to pressure anybody. Roger is thinking, 6 months. Man, I'm over on my oil change. I know it. Elaine is thinking, look at his face. He's visibly upset. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe he's not feeling pressured. Maybe he doesn't want to be with me. Really? You don't want to be with me? Because I'm quite the catch, Roger. I'll tell you that right now. You'd be privileged to have children with me and grandchildren, and they'd be pretty. You know that, Roger? That's what they'd be. They'd be pretty kids. Pretty kids with me, Roger. But no, you're getting all upset. And Roger thinks, and this thing is shifting like a garbage truck. And if they tell me that this transmission isn't under warranty anymore, I'm going to tell them. And Elaine thinks, oh, he's angry. He's angry. He must have sensed, even before I sensed, that this isn't going anywhere. I mean, I'm just settling, really. I mean, there's no knight, you know, there's no white horse, and he knows that. And so now he feels tormented by me. I never meant to torment him. And Roger thinks,